Well, it's time for one more walk around and to tell you what sort of next projects are. So this is kind of where we've gone and how we've been. This is the first side I worked on. That's the first bumper mount and rear quarter pound panel replaced. And if you notice in here, this was actually in pretty good shape. This area here is where I replaced the whole quarter panel in there and did a lot of work in there, and I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. I had some real issues with the door, and that's all straightened itself out, and I've done some adjusting the hinges and remounting and a few things, so that's working well. One of the things I do want to point out is, notice that there's a scratch that's starting here. It came right up over here and scratched really deep all the way through here, and I sanded a lot of that out already, but I'll be doing some more sanding all through here. There's a little bead of pinstriping on there that has to come off, so I'll be taking that off, likely sanding it off. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to work at doing these pinstripes, and I'll show you in a bit. There was a little bit of a hickey there, and I fixed that up, and so that's actually looking fairly decent. That's pretty minor. And you still see little bits of rust that are on the paint. And if you look up the gutter, you can actually see rust all the way up to gutter and stuff. I'll be fixing that up. You can also see the paint's coming through, so whoever painted this before didn't pay a lot of attention there, so I'll have to paint that, or sand it out really well and then paint that. You'll also notice that in the windows that the green is coming through, so I'll run the window up, but or maybe see up here it wasn't even, looks like they put the tape in the wrong spot, so I'll be doing a bunch of work in here. I'll probably be taking this flashing off and then putting it back on again, and seeing if I can't get that a little tighter. But I'll clean this all up in here. And it's actually fallen down, so yeah, that needs to be. I'll epoxy it on later, but I'll take this all off, just like that. Sand that out real good. Maybe I'll just hang paper right over the window here so I don't get on it, and then put stuff up against the seat. But then I'll have opportunity to paint right in along here and get that cleaned up. Up on the roof, there's some grooves like this that all have to be sanded out. In this front quarter, you notice there's a great big rust hole in there. And up here was a great big rust hole, and that's all cleaned up now. And that's looking relatively good. I'm not going to touch a whole lot on there, apart from I'll be sanding right down past here so I can get this painted nice. The hood is looking relatively good. As I run my hand on it, I can just feel a couple. I think I'm going to take a larger spatula and run it up this way and see if I can't fill in any of the minute details, and see if we can't make that cleaned up a little bit better. I'm pretty happy. I honestly thought I had to replace that hood, and so far that's not been the case. I do have to do some fix up on the front skirt, but it's actually not too bad. I have to do some fix up. You can tell it's a little bit dented. It's dented here. It's dented there. But some of that, I'm just going to take my ball peen and another hammer and just tap those out. Again, here we go on this side. And as you know, I just got this done not too long ago. I just posted a video up of a short time ago, but this is all cleaned up now, and so that's looking good. Again, I'll be having to sand this right into here and paint that off. What I'm looking for right now is I've got a rivet gun coming and I'll be riveted. They're called bolt or nut inserts, riveted, and so I'll be putting it in. I'll be doing a little bit of video on that. But all these were completely wore out, and so I'm going to put those in so I can use bolts to bolt the fender back on. Notice up in here, same thing. The green is right there, and on the other side, so I'll have to clean that all up. And so I'll probably roll the window down, put the paper over the window, and then hang paper from the inside or something. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure. Also, there's a dent up on that roof, and now that's completely cleaned up, and that the line looks really good. I'm pretty happy with it, but there was a dent up there that's now gone. I didn't get a lot of video on what I did here, but I took those pieces of Bondo that were loose. I took them out completely. I took and polished and got shiny metal under it and cleaned it right up so that we would get rid of all the rust that was there. I cleaned up the back side of those pieces of Bondo, and I actually epoxied them back into place. So they're stuck fast with epoxy, and then I bondoed over the whole thing. And I'm actually quite happy. That whole corner looks fairly good and tight. And there is a slight crack here, and I'll fix that up with a little bit of Bondo. That's not cracked because it's loose. That's only cracked because I didn't get any Bondo into there. I will be hanging a fender on this, and so I'm kind of anxious to get those nuts so I can hang a fender on this, just sort of bolt it on loose, and then check and make sure that this is exactly the line that I need. Well, I just run my hand over there, and I can see just feel a little bobble there, so I'll have to just clean that up a little bit. But yeah, yeah. If I was good at doing a before and after, I would show you where the beading and there's a bead down here, and those beads would go right between the fender. That's fender there, and right there, there's a bead in here, and that bead had actually dropped right down because this wasn't matched up with the fender. So the idea is that I need that matched up with the fender. So before I go much further or worry about sanding this out too much, I'm going to be cleaning that up and checking it out. Also, we have this back here, and all this pinstriping, I like it. I like the pinstriping. Some people are saying, really? I said, yeah, I do. So I'm okay with that. I need to find some more decals. I see I need another Volkswagen decal there. And so I made a little bit of a schematic of exactly the different points where I want to be seeing and following that. And I will be putting a reference guide in, so probably what's first going to happen, I don't know what order I'm going to do it, I'll probably do the white first. Well, I can see some surface rust there now, so I'll have to beat on that, and there's some more there. And so yeah, all the way along here we'll have to clean that all up, but I'll paint probably halfway down into here with white. And then when that done, then I'll tape it off here and paint the bottom part black. And then you paint your stripes in. So we'll be doing it like that. So if you have any ideas, for sure let me know. So what I'm going to be tackling now, obviously there's a lot of sanding to do, and I'm going to do some time lapse on that. But back here on this skirt, if you notice, I was using this to ground my welder, but there's a dent in here, and you can see there's a sort of a dent here. And I will be sanding this all out. I'll be taking hammers and trying to bring this close, and I'll be running a little bit of Bondo on that and just cleaning this up. And you can tell it, you can see that there's Bondo and primer and then paint on this already. So I'll just be adding to the beauty of that. So we'll clean it up and then work on that. So that's kind of the next part of my project, and so I will be taking that on right away. But that's kind of the way it looks right now. I'm fairly happy with that. What I really like is the closer I look at the interior, apart from the seats having just a couple of, just the only flaws I can find in the interior is that each seat has that, and that's just from sun exposure. So I might just pull a seat cover over the back, but the rest is in absolutely pristine condition, just wonderful. So I'll be trying to take care of that. So. This is what I've been working on. It actually had rusted and created bubbles coming through the top. And right there is still a little bit. I'm going to put some rust stop mixture on that and try to cure that up and cause it to adhere together. And I've been trying to sand all these lines smooth. I am going to paint the stripes back on, but don't want to get too much of a buildup. I'll have to take the door handle off and do the papering on the inside of that. So I'm not quite there. This is the first run through. I'm hitting it with 100 grit just because it's really pitted up. And then I'll start moving up through the grits here fairly soon. But I could just barely feel a little bit wobble there, and so I used some of my leftover Bondo and to sort of trim that up. Hopefully I can get whatever little wobble is in there out, and we'll sort that out. Well, this is a dent that I found in the door that I was sanding, and you'll notice I've been focusing on some of my sanding just on trying to get that pinstripe off. I still have to get more done down there and all the way up. I'll be pulling this door handle off, and maybe I'll do that today. And all the way along, that red pinstripe has just been proving to be a real pain. It's stuck on there really well. I'm kind of surprised. I'm trying to clean up the roof also, and some of the issues that I'm having with the roof is right in here, and you can see the rust that's there. And so I'm trying to clean that out. I'm having a bit of a harder time as you go up along here. You can see up here, this is actually quite rusty in here. Now it's just surface rust, but I need to be very careful to get that out of there and make sure that it's cleaned up really good. So that's what I'll be focusing on. And still just scuffing up all the rest of the paint. I was just checking out here too. You can see the green is under there, and I can tell they didn't pull the windows, and I'm not going to pull the windows either. I would sure love to be able to almost tape that up so I can spray right under there and see how that works. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I'll probably set this up on time lapse, and you can watch me putter as I Okay, now you can see here, I had 5 holes drilled.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring the bumper around here. And you can tell I cut that off. What they did is they actually welded it on because it was so rusted when they did a rebuild. And so this right there, and that roughly where it needs to be there. And about there, that's right where that needs to be. This will be right here. And so I'll just okay, it's not great scratches, but I can make that out. So now I'll drill these holes on this side.
Yeah.
And when I put it together, I just bolt it on.
Yeah.
Now the front fenders have to fit on here first. There's little slots in the front fenders that they slide through.
Uh-huh.
And so that,
Yeah, the other thing you could do off of that is you could make a template of it, even just to make sure that it might help you find the ones that you scratched in. If you've got one good scratch in it, with all the others.
Yeah. And so I still have to, you can see there's a couple dents in here, so I'm going to take those dents out. Yeah. I've been doing some sanding, and they got some cracks in here.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm not too happy with.
Yeah.
So, and this hood was just a big rippled mess. It was just,
So is this the extra wood you found?
No, this is the original. This is the one I wanted to replace because I was just so disappointed in it. You can even see here it was some stress marks, and so I hit it from the back side and I brought it out, and this is from some of the heating I did.
Yeah.
And so I just put this on this morning. And so I'll sand this out. And this I found one more. And when I saw it, these were just very minor imperfections. But a hood, people always see what's going on the hood. And so,
And especially on the hood.
yeah.
You know, if you're looking like this, I mean, it'll shine out through the light and you'll see.
Well, exactly. I was afraid if I hit it too deep in there, what was going to happen is I was going to have to end up replacing all this.
Yeah.
But it turned out not bad. And I couldn't push a screwdriver through.
That's good.
And so it was just surface rust. If you can push a screwdriver through, then that's coming from the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bondo in there, hey?
Yeah.
She's a Bondo beauty.
A Bondo baby beauty.
So, and that's those were they had the headlights but they just used crimp-ons. So I just cut it right off, and
Nothing but headaches.
yeah, nothing but headaches. They would rust or corrode out right away. So I took care of that. And I was just in the middle of removing these. And so I just got to bunt that off and get that removing these so I can sand in behind here real good and clean that right up. And you still got a little bit of ridge here. I'm trying to sand all that ridge out. You can still feel the ridge there in places. But, so. And it used to be green, as you can tell. And when you sand deep enough, the green comes out.
Are you going to go back to the same red and
yeah,
black?
Yeah. It's sort of a European racing stripe type of idea. And I've took my schematics over here, all my measurements.
Okay.
Of where, and then I did key markers. So I did it here.
Yeah.
I did it right here, going from that angle iron and the measurements, right there,
Yeah.
right there, right there, and right there. And then I did at the door right from the angle iron down there and right to each one of these points.
Yeah.
And then right here at the very closest point where it comes here, same thing. Right here, and then I did each one of the marks. And yeah, it's I'm leaving the tailgate. I'm roughing up the paint, but it's not in bad shape. So I will repaint it, but I want to leave enough of that there because there's no way I'll be able to freehand something like that. So whoever did the job, they did a nice job of it. It's a shame they just didn't clean up all the rust.
Yeah.
And right here, it actually, they didn't have this built up enough. And so there's this bead. The bead,
Yeah.
and I have all new beading for it. And but the beading actually would when it was sitting there was actually dropped down in there and it looked kind of bad. So
And then any rain or anything, it would go down
Yeah,
back
absolutely,
there too, because it will be sealed off.
yeah, today's the day. I'm going to be replacing all of the previous welded in nuts and stuff for the fenders. And if you recall, when I took the fenders off, many of them just had really long, very small bolts in it, and they really didn't work very well. And so what I'm going to be using right now is called a product called a rivet nut, and this is what it looks like. The rivet nut goes in and you drill a hole and you slide this into the hole, and then you use this right here, screw it in, and you push down on the ends and it actually crimps right on. And here I have a sample what it is. So I would push that rivet nut through the hole, screwed in that thing, crimped it, and you can see on the back side how that flanges out and takes a grip and it holds onto the tin. Now when you're using these, something you have to watch out for is that they have a tendency to get rusty, and then this will spin on you when you try to take the bolt off. So it's a good idea to use anti-seize when you put the bolts in, and I'll probably cover that a little later when I am reinstalling the bolts. But right now what I'm going to be going to is drilling the holes. And one of the things I want to talk about a little bit is drill bits. And if you notice, I don't know if I can get this focused, but this drill bit is your typical Canadian Tire, Walmart, whatever brand. The Chinese made, they use a really soft steel and dip it in titanium. It makes it really hard. It actually cuts really well for about one hole. And then after that, you notice it's all blue on the end. It just does a really good job of setting fire. It's really dull and it doesn't work very well at all. Now these are cheap. They're really good for sort of one-time applications. And if you're not going to be drilling a bunch of holes, they're fine. But remember back in the day when your dad had a set of drill bits and they lasted forever? Well, they're cobalt steel. So I bought another set of drill bits. Like I say, you never have too many tools. But you never guess what the brand name on it is. Yeah, that's right. Walter. You know they're good. Anyway, I'll be drilling these holes out and I'll be taking you on a journey and just kind of showing you what it takes to put these in. I'm actually have been pretty happy with how they've gone on so far. I did a few on the other side already, just sort of a test run, and I said, hey, these are working well. So I'll take you on for the journey and let's get her done. Okay, so This wheel well is done as far as having the rivet nuts put in, and I don't know if you can tell from there. I know I can see it's like this one's looking like it's pointing a little bit of an angle down. This one's coming basically straight out. That one's a bit pointed this way, and I will be able to probably put a longer bolt in. I can put a longer bolt in and just sort of bend it whichever way I need to line it up with where the fender is. So the only one I haven't done is this one down here, because I'm just not, I've done a lot of adjusting, so I just want to make sure when I put the fender on, I can have that hole drilled in the right spot. So I'll probably be adjusting it on and off. So, but the rest, I haven't changed anything apart from drill the holes bigger and put something in that could hold a bolt. So those should be lined up just fine, because the old fender was on there, so the new one should fit on there. Well, I'm in the shop, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to attach this fender here. And the biggest reason why is if you notice up over here, I know it's almost out of your vision, but up over there is where in the earlier video I showed how much of the Bondo had broke away. So I've rebuilt it, and again I sanded off the metal so it was just shiny and there wasn't a lick of, not a lick of rust anywhere on it. And so now what I'm attempting to do is make sure that I have the fender shaped properly so that when I go and paint it, it'll all look good. So one of the next things I got to do is sort of I'm just going to bolt the fender over in this corner here, and then just sort of hold it up into place and just kind of get it as close as I can. And so the two things I have to do is make sure that you got to make sure that this is the right shape, but then I also have to find where I need to make sure. Now there's holes here already that were pre-drilled by the last guy who did this, but since I replaced basically all the metal here, I just want to make sure those holes are still in the right place, so when I drill them out and put in those rivet nuts, that they'll be in the exact right spot on this fender. This is the only one I'm really worried about. That the other ones, I didn't really adjust anything to make it too far out of place. Well, you saw how I put in those rivet nuts, and they went in pretty good. One of the things I've discovered is that if when you're going into Bondo, you gotta make sure you drill deep enough into the Bondo to make sure that the top of the rivet nut is right tied up against the metal. And when it's pinching metal to metal, it works really well. I'm relatively happy how those worked. I put on the fender. It seemed to fit really nice and tight, and that all went. It was a little bit of a hodgepodge. One of the next things I'm going to be doing now is taking out the windows and getting preparation for the paint job. And so yeah, you'll the next video will be featuring that. So I hope you tune in for that. So again, like and subscribe. And I know it's not the greatest content, but it's not bad. And those guys out there who are interested in their Beetles, check it out. If you have any questions, be sure to just ask them in the comment section down below, and I will respond to whoever sends anything in there. So again, thanks for your listening and my faithful followers. Here's another one for you. Take care. Have a good day. Bye now.